Miskin Radio.
If you fall asleep at the wheel, you'll put your life in danger, and the lives of others as well. Before you feel tired, pull off the road into a services or other safe area. Drink some strong coffee, and take a quick nap while the caffeine kicks in.
If you're having a nap, you've left your lights on, sir.
Right, cheers.
Think. Don't drive tired.
Good afternoon, and welcome to The Miskin Red Carpet, the show where we discuss the latest fashions and the hottest films. Coming up in today's show, we've got Aina, Max and Grant talking to guests including actor Mike Kelson, local cosplayer Lucas, and 4D scene Paul. Before we get on with the interviews, we are going to be talking about our favourite films, what we love it, and what fashion we love included in the movie. Myself, Oliver, will be talking about The Dark Knight, Max will talk about his favourite Swing Kids, Grant with Rush, and Aina with Mrs. Doubtfire.
Okay, so Ollie, why do you like The Dark Knight?
Well, what I love about The Dark Knight is that it's a comic book movie, and you would expect it to be just kind of like kind of like in the Adam West Batman show, all campy and boom, bow, bang. But what made this film so good and different from all the other comic book films is that it makes it more set in a realistic setting. Like, every costume in the film that I really adore, especially the Joker, is that they didn't make them look very cartoony, very much like a Halloween costume. They made them more very realistic. Like, for Joker, instead of having how in the comics Joker had this thing where his clown skin was like stuck to him and it wasn't like, pain so you can take it off, it would still stay on. But in the film version, they had like actual makeup on with like scars in his mouth to kind of make it more sinister. And I think that what kind of made this Joker a bit better, because it really makes him feel like threatening that he's actually like a person inside his personality. But now, because, I think that's what just meant the Joker, is that with the look of him, it makes it more mysterious, and that we really don't know why did he decide to do crime, And for the Batman suit, there's been so many different Batman suits, but this one was where they made the Batman suit more like a military suit, as it was explained in the film by Morgan Freeman, where that, for the suit, it wouldn't make his neck move around. So they really made it more like a military-like costume, but they still made it it still had the bat symbol, but it really made it feel more like it's an actual bat costume, and everything else that it makes it very more like, it's basically a real-life crime movie, like the movie Heat, but it's set in the world of Batman, and that's why I really enjoy it.
And obviously there's been so many Dark Knight films. What would you say, which one is the best one that you think?
The best one, I think, I would say, if there was one film that pretty much changed how comic book movies are seen, I would say The Dark Knight, because it really kind of makes the comic book film has a lot of meaning to it. It's more about corruption, politicians, and more about why do we do these things, and it's more about, as Harvey Dent would say in the film, do you see yourself become the hero, or you live to live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And that's kind of where it made it so different from like a Marvel movie, that it kind of delves into this world where it's kind of like where there's so much crime and corruption, and we can see a Batman movie kind of take on these issues, and it kind of makes it more, and I think that's why everyone loves this, how we kind of relate to it, so how this is happening in our world, and we can't understand how in the world there is like a Joker, there's a Batman, there's like a Harvey Dent, and I think that's what's made The Dark Knight just so game-changing, of how it changes the way we see comic book films.
Let's say you met the director, and then he obviously asked you, if he asked you, how can I improve the next Dark Knight film, what would you say?
Well, Christopher Nolan already made the next Batman film. It's called The Dark Knight Rises. But if he was going to make another one, I would say that if I was going to ask Christopher Nolan to say what improvements he could make, well, maybe I would say that maybe for the next Batman film, I think maybe trying to make it more faithful to the comics, where I kind of appreciate The Dark Knight for being very realistic with the Joker and the Batman, but I kind of thought it suffered a bit in The Dark Knight Rises, where it kind of, for example, Bane, he kind of made Bane more of just a strong guy, not like this guy who uses Venom to make him bigger and stronger, and it does feel a bit lacking. So maybe for the next Nolan film, maybe try and use characters that kind of may work with today's time, you know, like, for example, Mr. Freeze or the Penguin. So I would say is maybe try and use Batman villains that we've never seen before, and maybe try and make the costumes, even if you're going to use Joker again with a different actor, maybe make it more like the comics, I would say. But anyway, I would say that I think comic book movies work when they have their own style and see what character fits in with the makeup and the fashion of today's world.
And obviously, you've decided to pick the Batman theme, the 1960s Batman theme. Why did you pick that one?
Well, I would say that when people say what is the most iconic Batman theme, where you would often ask people like sing the Batman theme, people always say dun 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 bang 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 Batman dun dun dun. It's pretty. I mean, it's a very iconic song. You know, I mean, you often say like the other Batman songs, like the one from the Dark Knight, it's like dun dun. Dun dun. Then you got the Danny Elfman Batman theme, which is dun 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 dun. But the Adam West Batman theme is more like iconic with everyone else, because there are some people that may not seen like the older Tim Burton Batman films, and they'll still remember the Adam West Batman show, even with like the theme. So I would say that the theme song from the Adam West Batman's very iconic, you know. So that's why I chose it. And also, it kind of works fitting for the show that I'm in called Miskin Red Carpet, you know.
And how many stars would you give the original Batman film?
You mean The Dark Knight or the
The Dark Knight.
Oh, The Dark Knight. Oh, 5 stars. It's a classic. It's definitely one of my favourites.
Is that 5 out of 5 then?
Well, actually, 5 out... Well, no, I mean, it's 10 out of 10, 5 stars I would give it. But I will say that it's definitely just changes the way how I see comic book movies, as well as like movies in general.
And how old was you when you had the first comic?
So you mean an actual comic book?
Yeah, an actual comic book.
Oh, a long time ago. I think usually the comic books I remember used to get was mainly like the ones from the local shops, mainly Spider-Man.
Okay.
And even I had like a guidebook about Spider-Man and Fantastic Four, so it was more of like the local stuff, you know. But I remember learning all the knowledge of all the mythology of Spider-Man through that big guidebook, you know. But mainly, I think the first comic books were mainly Spider-Man.
Okay, brilliant. So, I'll tell you what, should we play the Batman theme now?
Okay.
The 1960s, the original one, yeah?
Oh, yes.
Cool, let's do this right now on Miskin Red Carpet.
Your favourite movie is Swing Kids, the movie. Why is that?
Well, Swing Kids is based on a true story, and it tells the story about a group of youngsters in 1939 Germany who danced the night away to swing music, which has been declared illegal by the Nazis. I'm a big lover of the fashion and the music of the 30s and 40s, and knowing people from those scenes allows me to interview them for our programme. The fashion in Swing Kids is incredibly detailed and genuine, a mixture of spear point and wing collar shirts with wide and colourful swing ties, and that definitely shows me that the producers did their research into the whole fashion aspect of it in 1993. The women are also dressed in vintage dresses with the hair in rolls or small curls, and you do see a different array of coats and vintage outfits throughout the whole film. These scenes define the style that swing music is based around. Many different dances are shown throughout the film, which were during the war. Some of these consist of jive, jitterbug, and Lindy Hop, and it's definitely something special.
And so, just wondering, do you think the film kind of like works because since it came out in the 90s? Do you think the fashion of it was very like well done with the fashion? Like it made you feel like you were in that era.
I definitely did that because I feel like in the 90s when films were made, my opinion is they did a bit more research into the whole history of it. Because if you're looking to make a film like that in the modern day, there's always things you're going to miss. Do you know what I mean? Like I can't really compare it to the modern version of Dunkirk, but if you've seen Dunkirk, there's a lot that's factually odd about it that may not have been true. But with Swing Kids, you know, it tells a very accurate portrayal of what the time was like.
How many stars and out of 10 would you give it?
Oh, good 9. Good 9.
That's really nice. And
just quickly. Obviously, the film was set in the 90s.
Oh no, the film was made in the 90s.
Sorry, made in the 90s, but set in the 40s.
Oh, like 39, yeah.
39, yeah. That must have been so difficult to get that costume so right and so well done, because obviously the costumes they had then, it's no like Primark stuff, is it? It's really
stylish,
yeah. Really nice stuff.
Well, they'd need the original sewing patterns and things like that from the 40s, which is still like that today. How do I say it? In the 90s, I suppose vintage fashion was a lot easier or maybe a lot cheaper to get because that kind of fashion wasn't really worn as much. You know what I mean? Whereas now it's really popular, so it's more expensive.
And obviously, you rock up sometimes with your
oh yeah, swing tie, braces,
everything like that. Yeah, and it's all this. This might sound really horrible, and I really hope that you don't take this the right way, but it is all made in Britain, isn't it? Like all the clothes and all the fabric is.
A lot of it is American based.
Oh, is it?
That's been imported over years ago and sold in vintage shops.
Yeah.
So I just pick it up there.
Oh, brilliant!
You know,
brilliant.
But I did interview one man on the scene that I know, and his name is Paul. I usually see him at most events, and I had a chat with him about the whole influence on him and what films that he got into when he was younger.
They used to wear what they call Gatsby's, which at the time in the 70s, the film of the Great Gatsby came out, and people started wearing the pleated baggy trousers, so everybody started wearing Gatsby's. And that was my first sort of... then I was watching all the old films, all the 1940s films, and I always watched the guys in their high-waisted trousers, you know, with their big lapels on their jackets, big collars, and yeah, I've always dressed like that, as far as near as I could buy at the time, you know.
So it was the early Gatsby film that kind of started it off?
I think so, fashion-wise, yeah. But with the Northern Soul thing, those guys always wore baggy trousers and that, but then when the jazz funk scene come, people started dressing a bit smarter with that, and they were wearing the proper 40s clothes then, wearing the ties. But the clothes was always watching the old Hollywood films in the 40s. You know, you wanted to look like those guys in the American films especially. That's what you wanted to look like. You didn't want to look like the British guys, because you know they was all in their. They never looked as smart as the the Americans with their high-waisted Hollywood waist,
Yeah,
double-breasted, high, big shoulders. So you wanted to look like the American film stars of the 40s.
Is there any specific films that you come to mind when you say that?
Oh God, there's quite a few. I mean, Jimmy Cagney. I mean, all his films. I can't think of any. And Humphrey Bogart. I mean, To Have and To Hold. He dresses quite scruffy then in workwear, and it's a black and white film. But they're obviously denim jeans. He's wearing dark denim jeans, which was unheard of in England in the 30s and 40s. You see films like that, Casablanca, and all those, and you see the guys wearing the Palm Beach suits, or the French equivalent of the Palm Beach suits, and that was a big influence on me. One of the biggest films was a film called Underwater, and it was one of the first films where they photographed colour film underwater, and it was about two guys who were, I think Rita Hayworth's in it, I might be mistaken on that. I forget the two actors in it. There's a French actor in it, but the colour of the film, and they were wearing high-waisted trousers, with drop waistbands, belt round, fabulous shirt. You must look that. It's called Underwater. It's about 1953, and I think that's one of the biggest influences on me, because for the first time you could see the colour of what they were wearing, the clothes and that. Yeah. And there's a Mexican guy in that who tries to rob them on a deck, and he's wearing a Carhartt work jacket. And it wasn't until the other day I've got the actual jacket he wears in the film. Mine's from the 1950s.
Miskin Radio.
If you fall asleep at the wheel, you'll put your life in danger, and the lives of others as well. Before you feel tired, pull off the road into a services or other safe area. Drink some strong coffee, and take a quick nap while the caffeine kicks in.
If you're having a nap, you've left your lights on, sir.
Right, cheers.
Think. Don't drive tired.
Count Basie with Shout and Feel It, a proper 40s track chosen by Max. Good afternoon, my name is Oliver, and you are listening to Miskin Red Carpet. And still to come, Gaunt talks to local cosplayer Lucas, and we have Aina talking about Mrs. Doubtfire. Stick around, we have Vangelis playing with the Blade Runner theme song. If you want to get involved with today's show, there are several ways to do so. We are on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at Miskin Radio, and use the hashtag MiskinRC.
Miskin Radio.
Have you ever thought about radio advertising? Do you have hundreds of pounds for advertisement?
Or you could advertise with us here at Miskin Radio, your local station. Perfect for advertising your local business. We charge as little as £5 a week, so if you want people to hear all about your business across Gravesham, Bexley and Dartford areas, just get in contact with us. Don't worry, we do all the planning and production work with you, making your advert tailored specifically to your business. Just visit sales@miskinradio.co.uk or call 01322 629 585.
How does it feel when you stop smoking?
Brilliant, I've finally quit.
I feel like I've got my life back.
I was so proud of myself.
I feel a lot richer.
It feels good.
I just feel fitter and healthier.
I felt much happier.
It's an amazing feeling when you stop smoking. With the help of NHS Smoke Free, you could experience that feeling for yourself. Our range of support tools, which includes face-to-face guidance from advisors, helps maximise your chances of success. Go online now and search for Smoke Free.
This is Miskin Red Carpet, the show where we talk to actors about the films they have starred in and many mise-en-scene features. Before we go in to talk to Grant, we are heading over to Aina, where he has interviewed local actor Mike Kelson.
So hello Mike Kelson, how are you?
Hello, not too bad, thank you.
So, well, all I can say now is that you look well. As an actor, you look really, really well, because I've been seeing loads of actors. When I go to the red carpet, you just see them like, you know, when you can just tell like they're secretly really, really tired and really, really stressed. But I can't read that on you.
No, I don't get stressed. It goes over my head.
Do you not?
No, I did. I do look a little bit rough today, though. 'Cause you may notice I've been attacked by my staffy. He was only playing. We like to wrestle in the mornings. It's a custom. And,
you like to wrestle?
Wrestle with my dog. Yeah. It's very therapeutic for the dog.
Is it therapeutic for you?
Yeah. Well, apart from when he catches me with his paws, which
Wow.
he did this morning. Yeah. So, yeah.
I mean, and you were saying about obviously stress. You don't get stressed. You let that pass all over you.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, sometimes things do get you, but I try not to. As much as possible, I try not to let things get to me, and just let's forget about that. Let's put it to one side and let's focus on the next positive thing that you need to do. Yeah,
I really like that thinking.
Yeah,
I think that needs to be said. Really, all over the place, because
definitely,
especially college or any type of work.
Yeah, well, I think you can end up worrying about things that may never happen, and then you've wasted your time worrying about those things, and it's not going to happen anyway. And so that was a waste of time, wasn't it?
Does filming not make you stressed then?
No. There's sometimes situations, but no, I generally I'm really good with it, and to me it's a waste of time getting stressed. It's an annoyance. It just makes you feel worse. So just put it to one side. Yeah.
I like this man already. We're like 2 minutes into the interview and I like you already.
Positive energy.
Obviously you've been in so many films. Like I was researching you, and like literally the list went on and on and on, because it's a mixture of short films, TV shows, and bigger films.
Yeah. I like to keep busy. I mean that's the main thing. I know a lot of actors tend to be quite choosy about what they do. Not that I take anything, but I would sooner be busy if the role's good. Maybe the money's not so good. Maybe it's a student project where they haven't got a big budget. But if it's a good role, it's a good script, then I'd sooner be working than sitting at home waiting for the big film to come in.
What makes a good script
then? Something that keeps the audience interested, I think. Something with a bit of a twist maybe at the end. And I've done a few of those recently. It's something that a person will start watching and think, yeah, you know what, this is really good. I want to see the end of this film. Yeah.
Can I just quickly say, when I was researching about you, I don't know how this is gonna make me feel, how this is gonna make you feel. Has someone ever told you that you really kind of look like Hugh Grant?
No, I do get that a lot, particularly from often people who've directors and that have taken me on. They said, they said we liked the Hugh Grant look about you.
Yeah.
So it obviously works, in my favour to get roles. Yeah,
what got you into acting then?
What got me into it?
Yeah. Who inspired you to become?
Well, I got into it, I think, because like many kids, I used to like playing the fool at school, and I used to like entertaining my classmates. Probably wasn't a good idea as far as the teachers were concerned, but it made them laugh, it made me laugh. So yeah, it was something that from an early age I liked to entertain. I liked people to laugh at what I was doing and cheer me on. It was great. So it was something that just carried on from school really. My favourite films were probably the British sort of kitchen sink dramas. I mean that's what really inspired me. My favourite actor is probably Dirk Bogarde.
Okay.
So it's very much the sort of films from the 40s, 50s. I mean, obviously before my time, but it was what I grew up watching on TV.
Yeah.
And I find them very powerful and very. The acting was far more dramatic. It was almost a lot of them were like plays, theatre shows rather than films.
So what was it like being in films then? Like 10 times 10 accent man.
Because you often film your part away from the other scenes, you don't notice that. Obviously, some of the bigger films have bigger effects, much better scenery, but you don't particularly notice because you're focused on what you're doing. So you may be in a room with just 2 other people for your particular scene. You may be in a car. You may be just away from the rest of the action. So until you actually see the film, you don't really know what's going on around you.
Yeah, it's true though, isn't it?
I was very disappointed in Accident Man because I ended up getting blown up by a microwave in that film.
What?
What?
Did they put a fork in the microwave? Or?
It was set up. There's a character called Finicky Fred who booby trapped various items, and he booby trapped the microwave, and my character ended up getting blown up. It was an elaborate thing they set up, and it took ages to do the set and to take the back off the microwave, make it look like a proper one, and get the explosive in there and put some blood in and cover the camera up so that the blood sprayed on the didn't actually spray on the lens. And we spent so much time doing that, and they had a dummy that was dressed exactly like me, and
not Hugh Grant then.
No. And we thought it looked really good, so we finished the shot, and bang, the thing blew up, and it was, that looks really good. They actually cut that bit from the film. It's a shame. You saw the explosion, but you didn't see you didn't see the dummy. Maybe when they look back, maybe it looked too much like a dummy. I don't know, but it looked good on the day. But you never actually saw me getting blown to bits, which would have been quite good, I think, really.
I was going to ask that. Like, how does that work when actors have to be in like an explosive scene, and then, like, because obviously the viewers think that, or the audience think that, hold on, they've actually been blown up, but then again, they haven't. So it's difficult to explain, because whenever I see like films and then someone actually gets blown up, I think, what happens to the people that are actually in that scene? Like, is it just all dummies, or?
It depends. I mean, there's a lot of work now which is done behind the scenes, so they can put images on to make it look like. I mean, there's been a couple of films recently where I've been shot, for example, and you can see blood coming out, but that's all put on after the film, so it's all special effects.
Yeah.
So when the film's actually done, someone will have the gun and it'll be bang, and you fall, and then when you see the film, you'll see the blood spurting and everything. So there's different way around it. Sometimes they use dummies, sometimes it's special effects. I think it's whatever the director is trying to get, the image he's trying to get for that particular scene, really. Yeah.
So you were saying about you being in films and about the explosives. So that's all. What you call that? That's like the CGI. Is that,
CGI. Or
What about like costume? What's that like? Because obviously there's a role in every film, and that requires costume for every role.
Well, it's important you've got someone who's a costume is a very important part of the crew.
Yeah.
Because ideally you want someone who gets your sizes right.
Yeah, exactly.
Not someone who has to make a vast adjustments on the day of filming. But I've worked in a lot of films. I mean, everyone loves dressing up, don't they? To be fair, we all love dressing up, and I've been lucky enough to have some great costumes. Henry V had a chainmail suit, and as part of the French crew, I was a French nobleman, so I had what was supposed to be a gold-plated breastplate and everything like this. It's really lovely gear to wear. Except when you're filming outside in December, which was the Agincourt scene. So it was pretty chilly. Yeah, it looked good until we got outside. Yeah,
that was hot chocolates all the way, wasn't it?
It was. We had guys carried off. Some of the guys were actually carried off with hypothermia, all sorts of weird stuff going on. Yeah, it was really cold. Yeah.
Where was it? Where did you film?
It was quite handy for me because it was Westerham, Squerry's Court, I believe. Yeah, so it was all done over there, which is really close to where I live. So it was really handy for me.
Yeah. And then obviously, I mean, what would you say the worst costume to wear is?
Worst. I suppose.
But try not to offend anyone.
No.
Because obviously all that time and effort has gone into it.
Yeah, it's just when you're not wearing a lot. I think when it's cold, I think that's the worst part about it. I did a film where we're in a swimming pool that was pretty cold. Obviously, because you've got to get in the pool and then get out again, and there's been a few films lately where I've been trouserless for some reason. I'm not quite sure there, but yeah, it can get cold. You know, you need the heaters on
They
set.
really do think you're Hugh Grant, don't they?
Well, obviously, yeah.
But when, is it me, or like you were saying about how we all like to dress up? It's a little secret of ours that we all like to dress up.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Does it make you feel really powerful when you've got a really important costume? So let's say if you're a policeman and you wore a police uniform, does that make you feel like, oh right, I'm in charge?
It does. It definitely helps you. It helps you believe that you are that person, because I mean that's the main thing with an actor. I think you have to believe you are that character. You know, obviously you need to learn the lines, you need to know your directions, but you need to really, the time you're on set, you need to believe you are that person. And obviously, yeah, a decent uniform helps you. Yeah.
Have there been any embarrassing moments when you had costumes on? Like as the trouser ripped in the area was filming, and you had to go and get that replaced, or
not so much to me. Although I did fall in a lake a little while back. While I was supposed to be this sort of gangster who was drowning this guy at the side of the lake, and it was really muddy, and I slipped and actually went into the lake.
No. What was this?
Yeah.
During winter? Or was it something?
I think it was sort of spring. It was cold. It was cold. It wasn't
It
nice.
was cold. Freezing.
Thank you, Aina. What was it like talking to him?
Do you know what? It was actually really good fun talking to him because obviously he's like my first actor I've actually interviewed, and he was really good fun. Like, I mean, I don't want to be rude or anything, but he can talk. He can talk for Britain. Absolutely bless him. But he's so fun, and yeah, because we literally put loads of lighting in and made it look like an absolute, just like an actual feel like interview. But yeah, when I think he is a nice man, and can't wait to see his new shows. And also he's going to be he's in a brand new comedy show called It's a Bit, and that's going to be happening in the new year. So I look forward to seeing that. And do you know what's quite funny as well? Because I told him he looks a bit like Hugh Grant, and he absolutely laughed it off. And I feel kind of like, oh God, did I really say that? But yeah, lovely man.
So, Grant, are you here to be discussing about your favourite film, Rush?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So, can you tell us the plot of the movie Rush?
So, basically, Rush is a film about the 1976 Formula One racing season. Obviously, for Formula One fans, a very famous year due to the title battle between Niki Lauda and James Hunt, in which, sadly, Lauda was horrifically injured in a car accident around Germany. But basically the film sort of starts at the very start of Formula One's path with James Hunt, how him and Lauda met, although that isn't strictly accurate. And it just sort of follows the life. It follows all the way through to a season finale where Hunt wins the championship in the final race. And just overall it gives a sort of background to the likes of like how Niki Lauda was feeling, how James Hunt was feeling all that time.
So, what do you think about the costumes they wore, like the way it was? Because since this was like way back in like, was it the 80s, the 70s? The 70s. What was it like? How the costumes they did? Do you think they did it really well?
I think considering they had to get all the vintage race overalls as well as helmets, even down to car liveries, they did exceptionally well. Sort of, I mean, at one point you had to find vintage Ferrari overalls. I don't know whether they were originally sourced or they were remade, but the quality of them was just immense overall.
And also, did you thought the actors were really good, since it's based on a true story, and so often you have to get like the best acting possible?
I think the two guys who played the main protagonist, I apologise, their names escape me, but I think they played the role very, very well. Like it needed a very sort of, for James Hunt, you needed someone who could be a womanizer and just take the mick a lot. And you had Niki Lauda's, or the character of Niki Lauda, who is very sort of reserved, very matter of fact, and I think both actors portrayed their counterparts brilliantly.
And how many would you give it in stars and out of 10?
Oh, 10 out of 10, 5 stars. It was a fantastic film.
Oh, that sounds really good. And I think what you just said about Rush, it's now making me feel like I really want to watch, catch up with Rush on either Netflix or on DVD.
It's definitely worth it.
Thank you.
Miskin Radio.
Think you've got a healthy brain? Do you know someone that is living with dementia? Do you want to see how it affects them? The Virtual Dementia Tour is the only medically proven method of giving a person with a healthy brain an experience of what dementia might be like. In the UK, it has been adopted by the fire service, NHS, prisons and care providers, and it's available to you today. To truly understand dementia and to understand how to support your loved one through the journey, visit virtualdementiatour.co.uk or call 01376 573 999. Until there's a cure, take the tour.
That Change for Life is all about small changes to help make us and our families healthier. Like, a lot of food contains more sugar than you might think, and eating too much can make us put on weight, which may lead to heart disease, type 2 diabetes and even cancer. Making sugar swaps is a great way to stay healthy, and it's so simple. Instead of sweets, swap them for fruit. And for fizzy drinks, try no added sugar or sugar-free ones. Just check the label. It's easy to be food smart. For more help with sugar swaps, search Change for Life online.
Now here is Grant talking to Lucas about his cosplaying habits.
Hello guys, so I'm here with Mr. Lucas Henry Hayes.
Hello.
And obviously, thank you for coming in for an interview, buddy.
No worries.
So tell us a little bit about you.
I have red hair. I'm a bit geeky. I'm very well known for my fancy shirts. I'm actually wearing one now. So yeah, I'm a bit quirky, bit geeky. Not really the type of person you want to spend much at a party. So yeah,
I don't know. So obviously you're a cosplayer. So what drew you into cosplaying originally?
Basically, what got me into cosplay was that I knew someone through YouTube called Dominic, who is still currently doing cosplay, and I thought, yeah, I'd like to give that a bit of a go, because it looked quite fun and interesting. And next thing you know, I've got an outfit. I've gone to this Comic-Con, and then it's sort of just carried on ever since, really.
So obviously, I'm assuming, well, I know from experience that you've got a lot of cosplays. What would you say your favourite cosplay to do is?
That's a tricky one. Blimey. I really do quite like doing the 10th Doctor. That one's really good, but I think the best one that I've done is definitely the In-Betweeners one that I did a couple of months ago.
I remember seeing pictures of it. Yeah, very. It was. I think that was a very well planned out cosplay, to be honest.
Yeah, it was. We went into a lot of detail doing that because my friends, we all got together. We all decided who was going to be doing what, and my friend made the badges for us, and we were getting the jumpers and the ties and things. Yeah.
So, sort of following on from that, what would you say your favourite film is?
It's quite a few, but I think it's a really bizarre choice, my favourite film. It's a film called About Time, and it is a time travel rom-com. And what I like about it is that it sort of teaches you how to live your life, because towards the end of the movie, it sort of tells you that you don't have to keep going back in time to redo your mistakes. You can just live your life day by day and just take it as it comes.
So, following on again from that, who would you say your favourite movie star is?
Movie star? I quite like Eddie Redmayne, he's quite cool. I quite like Simon Pegg, he's probably my biggest inspiration, I think, because he's funny, he's quite geeky. Simon Pegg.
So, what would you say, I mean, obviously we've heard what your favourite is, what would you say one of the worst cosplays you've done is?
Oh wow, probably for me it was the Joker cosplay that I did a few years ago, because I had a nightmare with it. My hands turned completely green, the makeup was coming off, had really itchy hair. I had to go in a restaurant afterwards as the Joker with bright, luminous green hair.
Yeah.
As a surprise, because obviously I didn't know I was going to this restaurant. And then I've had this waiter come up to me and say, "You look like the Joker." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't come out dressed like this normally, mate, you know."
So sort of, I guess following on from that, to be honest, like, if you could redo that cosplay, what sort of aspects would you change in that way?
Probably wear a wig, I think, definitely. Because it was a nightmare to get out.
Yeah.
Better makeup. Probably plan it out a bit more, because I had to do it very discreetly, because this was like 6 a.m.
Oof.
And trying not to wake my parents up, which I did anyway. So
I suppose looking at it from a cosplay thing, there are obviously within film there's a lot of costume designers. So who would you say is your favourite costume designer, if you have one?
Costume designer. I'm not sure if there's one in terms of cosplay, but I really like a costume designer which I do sort of look up to quite a lot is Paul Smith.
Mm-hmm.
He does really good clothes, and he actually did quite a few things for Peter Capaldi, who played the 12th Doctor, and a lot of his personal items come from there. It's a very like classy sort of clothing.
Yeah.
And I quite like what he does with clothes. I think it's quite interesting.
So we'll end on this then. What would you say? I mean, obviously you've mentioned you're a fan of Doctor Who. What would you say your favourite era of Doctor Who clothing was? So going from the very, very start through till modern
What,
day.
in terms of just as a whole, or just in like the clothing sort of?
I guess in general.
In general, for me, I've always quite liked the 70s because I don't know, there's something quite retro about it, and I quite like retro things.
Yeah.
And I think the way they did it they had quite a few gothic storylines and they had funny storylines, and I think they really knew what they were going with there. And I think that's like golden Doctor Who. I think if anyone was going to say, what the best aspects of Doctor Who was, I think a lot of people would go back to the era of Tom Baker and John Pertwee, because that's like the golden years of all the big monsters and the stories. So yeah, I'd definitely go with the 70s, I think.
So, thank you, Lucas, for appearing on this interview.
No worries.
And back to Ollie in the studio.
Thank you, Grant and Lucas. Don't forget, if you want to see all the behind-the-scenes action, you can follow us on socials at Miskin Radio on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Use the hashtag MiskinRC. Coming up, we have Aina talking about his favourite film, Mr. Doubtfire. But before that, let's listen to Mike Kelson about his career in acting.
Mike, let's say for the students here and for anyone that wants to get into acting, what would you say your best tip is?
Believe in what you're doing. It's like any job, really. If you go at it half-hearted, if you've got doubts, you're not going to be giving it 100%. You've just got to believe that what you're doing is good. Always try and better yourself as well. Never get to a stage where you think I know this, I can do this. Yeah. I've reached a level where I'm now good. Always try and better yourself. Always try and learn, and always believe in yourself. Yeah.
Okay. And then obviously because I know some people that want to get into acting, but they always say, but there's nowhere I can show off my acting skills. So how would you give others advice about how they can actually shine through and actually make people go, he wants to be an actor?
Where they can start, you mean?
Yeah.
I mean, there's local theatres. Work with a lot of student films, a lot of student projects going on. Get involved with them. It's a start. Get enough to do a show reel. Get someone decent to do your show reel for you, so they pick out the best bits, and put it out there. Yeah. But don't rush and just do anything. Make sure you've got enough material that does show a range of roles, and it really does home in on what you can do. Yeah.
Like, what's your favourite genre of films? Is that how you say it? What's your favourite genre of films?
Yeah. as I say, I think it's probably still the old British kitchen sink dramas. I think that is. Although I love gangster films, I love horror films.
Why gangster films?
I don't know. There's something about them. I mean, it's like with the Goodfellas and the Godfather, where you can relate to these guys. They're not nice guys, but you can somehow relate to them. You've got a sympathy with them. They're smart. They're powerful. They're I don't know. There's something about them that you can say, I quite fancy being like that myself.
So Goodfellas and what was the other one?
Godfather.
Godfather.
Yeah, Godfather 1 and 2 were very good films. Yeah.
So, for Aina, your favourite film is Mrs. Doubtfire, one of the most iconic family films starring Robin Williams.
Yes.
So, the first question is, why do you think Mrs. Doubtfire is one of your favourite films?
Do you know what? It's just so, right, because I said to my mum when I was younger, when I first watched it, I find this really relatable because of family and stuff. But then again, she came back to me saying, so what? You're basically saying that your dad is basically a carer. And I said, well, okay, maybe not. But I really like it because it's a really good feel-good film, and there's so many people, so many younger age like children that's probably going through their parents having a divorce, and I think it's a very important film to make you realise what life can actually throw you, and all right, maybe not the dad dressing up as a older woman, but it's really funny, and it's just really just I'm so tempted to say relatable, but it's not relatable, but I think you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think I can understand. Very beautiful. What do you think about the fashion? Because I think the film won the best, or like the Oscar for best makeup, because the way they did with Robin Williams as like Mrs. Doubtfire was kind of like amazing. You know how it made like a man to be like a normal nanny, and it was very well done, especially back in its time, like the 90s.
Yeah, do you know what it is? It's a very, very, very well done, like costume wise and makeup wise, because it's not easy turning a man into a woman. It's not easy putting. It's not the case of putting two oranges in a bra to make you look like a woman. It's more than that. It's the makeup, it's the hair, and I think what's so good about that film is that they actually they showed you how they done the makeup for her. Like, so I think was it the brother? Was it the brother that was the makeup artist?
I think so, yeah.
And the way he done everything, and he spent a lot of time to discuss about hair, discuss about what teeth she was going to use, or he was going to use, he or she, you know. But do you know what? It's just the costume, the makeup was so well done, and like I said, it's not easy turning a man into a woman, makeup wise or costume wise. So especially for that 90s as well, because like now that we're very lucky, now this age we're very lucky to have so many like equipment and so many like different types of material to make false hair or false teeth or false makeup.
So basically you're saying CGI?
Eh?
Well, I'm just saying, like, if Miss Doubtfire was made now, it would have used like CGI to make that, or I mean, I'm just
I think
saying.
If the film was to be made now, there'll be a lot more depth to the makeup, if that makes sense. There'll be a lot more, like, there'll be the consideration about how many inches an eyelash is going to be and stuff like that. But back in the 90s, there wouldn't be like that. But yeah, very well done, and that's why I really like it. And I think, to be honest, as well, like when we were all younger, I think we have a little secret that we did like to dress up when we was younger, whether it was a woman or whether it was a policeman or whether it was a fireman. Like, we all like to dress up like when we was younger. And if you don't agree with me, I don't know what was you doing in childhood. But there we go. How
many would you give it?
So, do you know what? I'm so tempted to say 10. Do you know what? I'm going to say 10.
Yeah.
Because it's a very emotional but funny but caring but sympathetic, but it's an all-in-one film which makes it 10, and I really love it.
And also, here's an interesting fact: is Pierce Brosnan is in Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh right, yeah,
James Bond.
Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely, yeah.
Well, that was way before like he was James Bond, because that was like 1994. Mrs. Doubtfire came out, and just saying.
Oh, that was funny. I really like that. And the kind of not arguments, but the what's the word? Is feud the right word?
Yeah, feud.
Like the feud between the characters, but yeah, really like that.
Right now, we are now cutting to Max and Gaunt talking about what is going on in the world right now through social media. Hope you enjoy.
So, the world of social media and film and such has come up to pass, and Samuel L. Jackson has started taking shots at Donald Trump.
Absolutely. On Twitter.
On Twitter. Where else do you take shots at people? So, obviously I'm going to have to censor this somewhat.
Yep.
But why is that hemorrhoid threatening to shut down the government over a wall budget? What happened to and Mexico will pay for it? Hashtag I never said that. Hashtag yes the bleep you did mother bleep.
Typical Samuel L. Jackson there.
Love the man.
Just like the films.
Do you know what? I love him. Outstanding thing.
Imagine if he said that in Pulp Fiction.
That would have been fantastic.
Absolutely incredible.
I think overall, to be fair, one of the greatest people who just says what
one
needs
of the
to be
best
said.
trash talkers.
Yeah, fantastic. I think he'd give many boxers a run for their money.
That's it from Miskin Red Carpet. My name is Oliver, and you have been listening to the show where we have talked about the latest fashions and the hottest films. We'd like to thank actor Mike Kelson, local cosplayer Lucas, and 40s scene Paul. Don't forget to check us out on social media, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, and we have a special behind-the-scenes video for you to enjoy. Share your reaction using the hashtag MiskinRC.
When you were young and your heart was an open book, you used to say, live and let live. You know you did, you know you did, you know you did. But if this ever-changing world in which we live in makes you give in and cry, say live and let die. This ever-changing world in which we live in makes you give in and cry. Say live and let die. Live and let die.
There are many things a mother can pass on to her baby. Her smile, her eye colour, and her immunity to whooping cough. Whooping cough is a very dangerous illness for young babies, and at the moment it's spreading fast. A simple vaccination during your pregnancy can help to protect your baby in their first weeks. Please speak to your GP, nurse, or healthcare professional and pass on your immunity.